What's going on, guys? Nick Lesagore here.
Brandon Delakia.
Exit 12.
Brewery.
In the house for a second straight brew day.
Straight brew day, yes.
How pumped are we?
Super.
So, yeah, we usually average about 2 brew days a month, so during the summer, so pumped about that. This is the second one of the month.
Absolutely, and this one is for Homebrew Con.
Hopefully, if the beers turn out well.
Yeah, if they don't, and we'll just say this lost tapes. These are the lost tapes.
That's pretty good. Yeah, so we're doing a Saison, which is probably a little less on the traditional end, like the Hefeweizen. And what else are we doing?
Yeah, so we're doing a New England IPA.
Hazy IPA?
Yeah, Hazy IPA. One we've done a few times now. It's called Yokozuna. I tweaked the recipe a little bit. So we're going to do 50-50 Vienna and Pilsner, flaked adjuncts, which are barley, wheat, and also oats. And the hops are going to be Idaho 7, Citra, and Mosaic, and then a little CTZ for some bittering.
Dude, nailed it. Only thing you forgot?
Steel trap.
Throwing some carafoam in that.
Oh yeah, carafoam for head retention. Wanted chit wheat. Got to find somebody to get us some chit wheat.
Yeah, very true. Also, you did a lot of research on the hops, and so we're going to find out what his research yields in terms of flavor and aroma, because we find with our New England IPAs it's missing a little something.
Yeah, so we've done a lot of research on grists and grain and water and temperature. We really haven't messed with hops, so this is our first intro into messing with hops and temperature and all that.
And that beer is going in our cooler system. So we're going to heat it up with our SS BrewTech 10 or 15 gallon pot, whatever it is that we just bought off Amazon. What up, Amazon points? Killing it. Got a great discount. It's because I use Amazon so much. Thanks, Jeff Bezos. And the second beer we're doing again is the Saison. We really enjoy Saisons during the summer, so this recipe was a little bit edited from the recipe we did last year, but we really enjoyed it, and it got amazing feedback from our friends and family. Yep. So the Saison, we're actually going to put it, ferment it on 3 orange peels. For some reason, the 3 number is kind of our sweet spot with the orange peels. We throw it right in the fermenter in the primary. Really pumped about that. So the way we do that is I basically peel the oranges and then I will vacuum seal them, and then we throw them in the freezer overnight. And so the freezing kind of kills off any germs that you're going to get on those peels. I wash them first, obviously. So to utilize in terms of the grain bill, 8 pounds of Belgian Pilsner, 1 pound of Vienna malt, 11.2 ounces of Munich, 8 ounces of the carafoam, a little bit of head retention, but we also realize with the Saison and the Hefeweizen and kind of those Belgian styles, you don't really care for a lot of head retention. 8 ounces of white wheat and 4 ounces of Cara 45 for a little bit of sweetness and some color as well. And we're also going to utilize the Jarrylo hop, which again, this is our 3rd time brewing the Saison and the 3rd time using the Jarrylo hop. We find we get awesome banana and bubblegum flavors off of the Jarrylo hop. But we're also going to utilize a different yeast for this. We usually go the French Saison. I think it's the 5711 or something.
I think so, yeah.
From W Yeast. But now we're going to go with the
Imperial Yeast Rustic, which we've tried to go with Imperial when we don't do a starter because of the higher cell count.
Also, we've had great success with the Imperial Yeast to date. So let's prep and mash in.
Do it.
All right, let's mill some grain for the New England IPA.
The best piece of advice I have for someone trying to succeed in the film industry or any creative space is if you're doing what everyone else is doing, you're doing it wrong.
as you can see, the crush is just looking sweet. Nice big husks. Not a whole lot of dust, so we're pumped about that. Alright, and now it's time to mill the grain on the Saison. Time to mash in.
What is freedom? I think I stole this from Bob Dylan, but maybe I stole this from Woody Guthrie. Freedom for me is waking up in the morning and going to sleep at night, and in between doing exactly what I want to do. What's the secret to happiness? The secret to happiness is finding something you love and then doing that for the rest of your life.
Alright, so we hit 155, 156 on the mash temp for the New England IPA, which is just what we wanted. We wanted 154, so we're pumped about that. Now we're going to mash in on the Robobrew for the Saison, and with the Robobrew, it's temp controlled, so we're pretty good on that front. So let's get mashing in on the Saison.
So we mashed in on the Saison, just turning the pump on to try to get some of this excess grain. We should be mash temping at 156. Good thing the Robobrew keeps temp. Measured pH was 5.6. I'm going to add some lactic acid to drop it down to 5.2.
Alright, so we're about almost done with the mash here. I just wanted to mention maybe like a couple of tips on the Robobrew. We're finding that we're having issues keeping temperature, so it's either we're trying to stick at about 154, but it seems to be going as high as 156, 158. So just taking a look at the mash here. Also, the level is kind of it's probably a little bit, right now it's a good level, but I think it's important to keep an eye on the Robobrew when you're mashing in and utilizing the pump. Right now we have it barely dribbling because we're finding that we're kind of filtering a little on the slow end. But I just turned it up a little bit, and hopefully the level will stay. But as you can tell, the wort is looking pretty clear. You know, with the Saison we want it a little bit cloudy. Probably see some, we do have the filter in there, that the top filter that's going to help us with filtering out so we don't have to boil off. With the cooler system, we have to Vorloff a few times. Vorloffing is when you're clearing out the first runnings a couple of times to get, you know, that grain bits out of the bottom of. So once you get it clear enough wort, you can then, you know, start extracting the first runnings. So let's get going. Yeah. So what we're basically trying to do is just clear up the beer so that the finished product doesn't have so much grain floating around in it.
is done, we're putting about 3 gallons of sparge water in, a little over 3 gallons of sparge water. And then we're going to take some pH readings and we're going to see where we're at.
All right, so we're going to add about just under 5 gallons of water. Beersmith is saying that it wants us to add about 5.5 gallons, but we found that we boil off a little bit less than what Beersmith suggests. So we're going to add 4.91 gallons to hopefully reach about 7.5 gallons pre-boil volume. All right, time is up. It's time for us to boil off on the New England IPA. I'm only going to do it once, maybe twice. I think we did a pretty good job of cleaning up the grains the first time. But just to make sure that there is no residual kind of grain floaties from when we mixed up the grain from when we batch sparged. Just going to do it one more time, and then we're going to put the batch sparge here and mix it up with the first runnings, and then we're going to take a gravity reading and get to boil. As you can see, there really isn't much floating around in it. Like I said, because I think we did a good job of filtering it out the first time. So we'll just boil off this one time here, and we're gonna get going.
Okay, so we're coming up on the hot break. We're just about at boil. We're gonna add a 1/4 ounce of Jarrylo. 60 minutes. Boom.
All right, so we were aiming for about 0.48 to 0.50 for the pre-boil gravity on the Saison. We ended up getting to 0.55, which is great. Puts us at about 76% brewhouse efficiency. Really pumped about that. Could not be any better. We did initially create the recipe at 70% brewhouse, so the fact that we're even higher is great for our efficiency, and we're really pumped. So we're going to continue on with the boil. You can probably hear it behind me. The New England IPA is boiling away. So let's continue on.
Okay, so we're coming up on boil on the New England IPA. We're going to add 1/4 ounce of CTZ at the beginning of the boil. To do this, we're going to get a nice clean bitterness out of this with no other residual flavors. We're also going to be using the hop basket, so we can sort of control the amount of hops that go into the beer. So we're using the hop basket so we can control the amount of hop oils that go into the beer. As soon as we shut off the soonest flame out, we're going to take that hop basket out, clean it up, and get ready for the dry hops.
All right, so we've come to the end of the boil. I'm going to cool this down to 160 degrees, and then we're going to throw in an ounce of Jarrylo hops. We're going to whirlpool that at 160 for about 15 minutes. We're going to cool this down utilizing the wort chiller that we have. We're going to dump it in a bucket of ice water, and then we're going to cool it to 160, pull it out, add the hops, and we're going to whirlpool for 15 minutes. Citra, 2 ounces of Mosaic. We're letting that steep at about 160, and we're going to do that for about 15 minutes. here. It's 9 o'clock at night here in New England. It's dark. We got a late start, but now we're wrapping up, and we are utilizing the pump to transfer into the fermenter at 82 degrees. All right, it's been a long day. Brandon and I cooled down both beers. We transferred the Saison into primary at about 82 degrees. We're about to hook up the temperature gauge, the Inkbird. I threw in 3 full orange peels that I had in the freezer that we let sit out and thaw out. So we're gonna plug in the temperature probe on both beers, let it sit for a while, turn on the heating pad, let it get up to pitch temp if it's not already, and then we'll pitch the yeast. All right, so we're up to temp on the New England IPA. We're gonna pitch this Kveik. We got it from Brew. Thank you, sir. We're pitching right now. All right, so it's time to pitch the yeast on the Saison. Again, we're utilizing Imperial's Rustic B56 yeast. What's up, Imperial? Thank you.
Shout out.
We're at 73.6 degrees. We were looking to get to 74, but close enough. So let's pitch. All right. It's been a day.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say that.
Yep.
It's about midnight or 11:30.
Yep.
We went over to the neighbor's house to watch the Bruins game on an 80-inch blow-up big screen that they have, so that was a good time.
It was super fun.
We were able to catch the last period and a half. And in that time, we kind of just talked about our processes and just kind of went over the brew day a little bit. Firstly, we finished at 75.8% brewhouse efficiency on the Saison, something that I think we're very happy with.
Very, very happy with that. Yeah.
And then on the New England IPA, not as good, but still higher than what we initially. So we initially we set the recipe for 60% brewhouse efficiency because for the cap and gown and hood New England IPA, that's what we achieved. So I said to Brandon in making the recipe for the Yukon Zuna, which is what we brewed tonight, I said, let's go with the 60% brewhouse and hopefully we can hit higher than that. So we did a few things differently. Firstly, we went 50-50 on the mash and sparge water, which we found obviously thickened up the mash, but we increased our efficiency on that end by 4%. So we finished at about 64%, which was good. But it's still 64% still isn't the goal.
Yeah, no, I mean, with those high adjunct beers, you expect to have a little less brewhouse efficiency, but we're definitely not where we want to be. The high, mid to high 70s is where I'd feel comfortable with.
Yeah, so obviously we're still working the kinks out on that, but it was a really good sign that we were able to hit the high efficiency on the Saison, which didn't have any adjuncts. So, speaking of adjuncts, this beer is called Dialed Down. It's an India Pale Ale from Trillium Brewing out of Boston and Canton, Massachusetts, brewed with Sauvignon Blanc grape juice. It's, like I said, an IPA, something we're enjoying here tonight as we again reflect on the brew day. Started at about 9 a.m., got done at about 9 p.m., so it ended up being about 12 hours. Yeah. I think going forward, we also didn't mention that we did wet condition the grain.
Yep.
So we wet condition the grain, which is something that we normally do, but I think what really helped us out was splitting the mash and sparge water 50-50. So let us know what you think in the comments about that. We're definitely open to suggestions, but I definitely think splitting the mash and sparge water was huge for us.
Yeah, it definitely helped. We're always, trying to find ways to improve our process and, mash house efficiency and brew mash house. I said mash house again. We're gonna keep that in. I just want to change it. It's officially called mash house efficiency instead of brew house efficiency.
Mash House Homebrewing is our new homebrewing outfit.
The old mash house. All goes down to the mash house.
That's right. And I think I also wanted to point out, Beersmith suggested a certain amount of mash water, right? And I think what the great thing about that software is it's great at kind of predicting what you're going to need and the numbers you're going to end up with. With that said, we ended up adding less sparge water on the Saison by about a half a gallon in order to hit our numbers. And we pretty much did that. If anything, we went higher. We like I said, on both beers, we achieved higher numbers, whether it was whether it was the pre-boil gravity and the OG. Our numbers were all higher down the board. So what we did was, whereas Beersmith suggested 3.77 gallons of sparge water based on our numbers, we only added 3.27. In order to get to the desired pre-boil volume. Yeah. So if we were to add that extra half gallon, our numbers would have essentially been off.
Yeah, and I will mention, because I don't think we've ever mentioned this here, we did do some testing, and we did put we have our own equipment profiles in for our coolers, and I believe we're using one that we came up with that was already in there for the Robobrew. I think it might even been a Gash Slug one. Shout out Gash. Yeah, but so it isn't that.
So overall, I think a positive, effective brew day. One of the more effective ones that we've had in a while, I think, in terms of numbers. So let's raise a glass to that. Thanks for watching. Cheers.
Cheers.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Cheers.
Salute.